Hello, hello, hello. Hi, hi, hello.
Be more energetic.
So, what do you think of when you think of a recipe, right? You go to one of these websites, New York Times Cooking, Hebb's Kitchen, Bon Appetit, whatever, right? You have like a big backstory. You have ingredients listed on like what ingredients, how much quantity, and all of that, and then you have step-by-step instructions for you to follow, right? And that is what people expect when they see the recipe. So we follow roughly the same structure, right? So we have ingredients, we have steps for you to follow. But because this is in context of the deli shop, and we also may want to make sure that everyone can cook, right? Regardless of how expert of a cook you are, or like how beginner of a cook you are, we want to make sure these ingredients are or the steps are very clear. So what we do is first we list down all the ingredients we have. So this also we show that what ingredient looks like what, right? So like images are very important to us, right? Even we have prep videos. So like some beginner cooks really have a problem prepping basic ingredients, what a lot of people call basic. But there are expert cooks who might not know some new ingredients, right? So you might not be familiar cooking like, let's say, a broccoli or like a mushroom, right? You don't know how to clean a mushroom, how do I need to chop it so that it goes into the deli shop. Though deli shop does most of the chopping, it might need just some prep saying, okay, just cut the onion into two. Measurements are very important. So because most of the time, like the recipes will say 200 grams of something, but what is 200 grams? So you just put it there, right? So in our case, we have a weighing scale, which is very convenient because it helps you measure exactly how much quantity you want to measure. We started with actually using normal spoon measure, like tablespoon, teaspoon. So we used to like ship like 6 spoons from anything from like a quarter teaspoon to like a 1 tablespoon. Then we soon realized that most of the time this was just confusing the users, right? Our cooking mainly needs 3 spoons, right? And they are small, medium, large. Just use them. They are equivalent to some tablespoon, teaspoons, but for our cooks, it is not important. According to me, most recipes in the world can be split into layers. And that's how we have organized it on the deli shop as well, right? So as you complete each step, you are like finishing a layer of the recipe. Not applicable to all recipes, but we try to structure it that way because it makes, as a cook, it makes logical sense also to build this. And we have found that people also learn something at the end of it, right? Like, oh, this is how the recipe is made. There are a lot of steps I think we do differently on the deli shops. In our case, we find it actually more convenient to put in the aromatics first. And since the deli shop just does the chopping, all the green chilies, garlic gets chopped up first. Then we pour in the oil and then we heat it up, right? This one reduces a step for us. So that all the ingredients are like put in together and heated only once. And we also found that on the deli shop, it doesn't lead to that much change in taste, right? So we preserve the flavor and make the all of the steps much easier. Let's say you're cooking tomatoes, right? A typical tomato curry, you might like basically cook the tomato a little bit, put it in the blender, then like blend it, then put it back, right? So there is like a lot of too many more things you need to do. So what the deli shop allows you to do is first put the oil, put the aromatics, then you put the tomato. The tomato gets cooked. So we, instead of blending the tomato right away, we slowly cook it so that all the tomato almost melts, right? And then we blend it so that it has a nice velvety texture, which we think comes out great in the deli shop, right? Also, this is saving you like 3 dishes right here because like it is all happening in one jar. Also, to ensure a lot of these consistency of recipes, right? So we want to make sure that, let's say, the rice is cooked every time perfectly, or like let's say you're cooking some pasta or like some carbs typically, right? Rice, pasta, poha, all of those. We also want to make sure that the way this cooks is like without burning but giving you like nice fluffy texture on the carbs. So for example, when you put rice, you put water, essentially you are waiting for all the water to evaporate, right? In a pressure cooker, you count whistles or like you say, oh, this much time. We have thermal sensors here. What it allows us to do is sense whether all the water from the rice has evaporated, and then just cut it off, right? Which means that there is no rice burning or like the rice being too watery. Make sure that the rice is like fluffy all the time. Going through this journey of like building something, testing with how people are using it, and using that feedback to like improve our instructions, because a lot of these things I just mentioned are all based on how we saw people cooking, or like how the dishes were turning out like on repeat usage, right? So we added all of this, so this reduces the anxiety of you cooking, right? You don't know how to cook, how long do I need to cook, all of that is condensed. It makes sure that the results are consistent every time, and you also feel encouraged to cook more and more every day, right? So yeah, that is one thing.